is up, everyone? Josh here with VGU.TV, bringing you some gameplay from the Steam demo festival that they have going on, that they typically do a couple times a year. And I wanted to give this game a try, called The Elevator Game with Catgirls. Now, I'm aware of the elevator game, but I'm not aware of what it's like to be a girl. I don't know what it's like to be a cat, and I don't know what it's like to be a cat girl. So, this game is spooky. I'm playing at night, so I want to see how spooky it really is. So for those who are not familiar with the elevator game, it is I believe it's a Japanese urban legend, where if you put in a specific sequence of button presses in an elevator, it will take you to like a different dimension. So I am curious to see how this works, and if it's done with Catgirls, if it's somehow somewhat different. So let's get this going. It's a cold winter night. Snow started to fall a couple of hours ago, so the cityscape is littered with a layer of white fluff. It crunches under our feet as we walk down the street. Which I forgot to say, this is a visual novel of sorts, so yeah. Ta-da, we're here. I look up to inspect the tall building before us. It's past midnight, so it's to be expected that most people living here should be asleep by now. Naturally, that also explains why barely any of the windows show illumination coming from the inside. Considering what we're here for, it only adds to the creepiness of the situation. Excuse me while I adjust my mic here. I've never been a fan of dark places. That didn't change even when I got my feline features. You'd think that being able to see so much more clearly in the dark would make darkness less scary, wouldn't you? Trouble is, I hear so many more little sounds that I couldn't make out before too. And since I'm not sure what all of them are, the dark's every bit as creepy as it was before. Maybe even more so. So we are... Finally, a response. I thought you were starting to give me the silent treatment again. It's a fault of mine, and one I'm not too proud of. I tend to get lost in my own head sometimes. Well, quite often, really. Thankfully, Kieran is fairly used to it by now. I swear, Kieran, of all the buildings in the city, you just had to choose one which seems super creepy. This has to be the sole residential building in the whole office district. Oh, but you know it couldn't have been any building. This one is perfect. And by perfect, you mean meeting the conditions and being less than 10 miles from our homes? Or are you enjoying our walk in the snow together so much that you'd like to prowl around aimlessly for another hour? Because I don't know about you, but I'm really starting to feel the cold. Was that your plan? For me to need you to warm me up afterwards? You could have said something, Asahi. I just stare at her, not really sure what to say. There's no winning with Kieran when she gets all sly like this. As much as I hate to admit it, it's one of the things I actually like about her. Why did I sign up for this again? Because you love me? Yes. Thank you for reminding me of that questionable fact. Say, do you get the feeling that someone is manipulating someone else for their advantage over there? Over here, is what I meant to say. No? Just me? Aw, come on, don't be like that. You know I'm happy you decided to come with me. I'll make it up to you, I promise. I do kind of like the design of the characters. The kind of sketchy... I'm trying to think. It reminds me of something. I can't quite place it. But it almost has kind of like a disturbingly creepy, sketchy style to it. I kind of like it. I stare at her for a moment longer before I sigh. I really can't argue with her. Not when she's looking at me like that. I had a silent crush on this girl for the longest time, and never expected to one day find out that the attraction was mutual. The fact that we managed to actually get together still feels so unreal sometimes. If it weren't for the fact that the change affected her too, it would have never come to this. As much as I disliked it in the beginning, it made me feel like an outcast among my former peers, after all. Our shared experience allowed me to be there for her when she needed it most. It's a memory I'm always going to cherish. Of that, I'm sure. I breathe warmly on my hands, rub them together, and then jam them deep into my pockets. It's not much, but hopefully it will keep some feeling in my fingertips. It's enough to let me focus on things in the here and now, at least rather than just on how cold it is. I said before, and I'll say it again. You get provoked way too easily. You're doing all this because of the bet with Sapporo, aren't you? Oh, sure, that's one of the reasons. But that's not the only one. I'm doing it because it's fun. Fun? Kieran, you've seen the forums. Not a single person out there ever said it was a good idea. Ah, yes, all those fairy tale stories. Quite tragic, really. Come on, you're not about to tell me you honestly believe those? So, you mean that you don't? Seriously, girl, we live in the real world. Spooky, yeah, as real as Catgirls are. Spooky, scary skeletons don't just pop up out of nowhere because someone decided to be an idiot and press some buttons a certain way. Can't believe you, of all people, are still saying that strange, unexplained things don't happen. I mean, you did look in the mirror this morning, right? This is this, and that is that. So you don't believe this will actually work? Remind me why we're here again? We're here to prove a point, namely that Sapporo can suck it. I honestly can't believe I let you drag me into this. Chill, Asahi. We suffer the cold for a little longer, nothing happens, and then Sapporo owes me $50. $50 that will treat us to a nice dinner together. I suppose a dinner with you is pretty good incentive. See, I knew you'd come around. Alright, let's get this going. That being said, wish me luck and all that jazz. I'll be right back. Kieran? What? I'm the one who should be getting cold feet here, not you. Just, you remember all the rules, right? Stay safe, okay? Asa-chan, be realistic about this. What's an elevator going to do? Bite me? You could always get stuck. That's a realistic possibility, if anything. I'm sure you'll figure it out if I do. Now, be sure to stay away from the buildings, since we'll be breaking those majestic rules otherwise. Right. See you in a bit. And that was the end of Kieran. I stare as Kieran approaches the building's entrance, presses one of the intercom buttons, and moments later pushes the door open. How does she convince people to trust her so quickly, to let her into the building like that? She's gone from my sight before I know it, a faint click as the door closes behind her. There's a feeling of unease pulling in my stomach. All this being a bad idea, probably the worst we've had yet, just screams in my head. I'm so going to give Sapporo peace of my mind once all this is over. It's not like I can really do much about it now, however. If I were to go after my girlfriend, saying I've suddenly changed my mind, it would undoubtedly make her angry. Hell, we snuck out of our houses through the window without our parents knowing just to go through all this. If I had a problem with this whole crazy idea, I should have said something way earlier. It's too late now. I wrap my fingers around my phone and pull it from my pocket. As I do so, I see the screen shows 13 a.m. It took us around an hour to walk here, and while I dreaded us even being here in the first place, I'm also not looking forward to walking all the way back, especially when it's bound to get colder as the night goes on. Perhaps we could use those $50 to get a ride home instead of a meal. Yeah, if only things worked out that way. With another sigh, I turn around and start to walk towards a small park located in the middle of this godforsaken district. I don't know why part of it is a playground. There can't be many kids here in the day, can there? But it is, and there's a slide as well as a pair of swings. I'll most likely freeze my ass off if I sit on one, though that would let me lift my feet off the ground for a bit. The cold, snowy ground. I decide to sit down on the nearest one. Just like that, the uneasy feeling of having entered a liminal space hits me, making the hairs on the back stand up. One's mind usually associates playgrounds with children, laughter, movement, and life in general. It's what they're designed for, after all. So when you get to experience the total opposite of that, when you find yourself sitting in an empty, childless playground in the middle of the night, it doesn't feel right. I actually think it feels kind of cool. I've done that before. Your mind associates it with something being off, something being wrong. Why are you here, Asai? In a place you shouldn't be. Yep, take a look around. Absent-mindedly, my gaze wanders. Something at the other side of the street catches my attention. It's a vending machine. I happen to have a bit of change with me, and the idea of getting something hot to drink is suddenly very alluring temptation. It would undoubtedly make the waiting out in this cold less pleasant. Out in this cold less unpleasant. Please say it's a machine that has hot drinks as well as cold ones. With my mind made up, I get back to my feet, checking the time more out of habit than actual curiosity again. 1400. Is that... I don't know how to read military time. 14 a.m. That's a formula I'll say. Only a minute passed since Kieran disappeared into the building, and I'm both surprised and not really. The feeling of time passing slower than usual is normal when you obsessively wait for something. Even more so when said waiting is physically uncomfortable. I make my way towards the vending machine without a second thought. I also do kind of like just how everything's kind of sketched in this game. I like the kind of black and white nature of this scenery and stuff. To my relief, its glowing buttons do indeed hold the promise of a hot drink. I decide to get cocoa. I'm usually more of a coffee person, not today, but I'm in the mood for something sweet. My mind will most likely appreciate the sugar rush right now, too. It definitely doesn't have anything to do with the fact that this is Kieran's favorite drink. Fua Fua Choco Choco. Choco, I don't know. Yeah, it's about time I acknowledge the fact that I've started to consume more sweet stuff because of her, even though she says I'm sweet enough as I am. It's only when there's a clunk of coins in the change slot that I realize the cocoa is a bit cheaper than the coffee, meaning I'll be able to get a can for Kieran when she comes out too. That's a nice surprise. As I work on opening the bottle, I realize how warm and heavenly it feels in my hands. I wrap my hands around it, enjoying a few moments of bliss as the heat warms my fingers. I take a small sip, instantly happy with the taste. Being able to drink anything warm feels like a godsend right now. Satisfied, at least momentarily, I make my way back to the playground, intending to sit back at the spot I took up before. I was half expecting someone to be sitting there. I reached the swing and settled back down. As I glanced up again at the building Kieran slipped into minutes ago, what am I going to see? My blood suddenly runs cold. A sense of sudden panic swarms my mind as I try to make sense of what I'm seeing. A building that's dead to the world, all pitch black, with none of its lights shining through the windows anymore. Could all the residents have gone to sleep in the meantime? That's close to impossible, I know it. A power outage, maybe? I quickly turn around and look at the other buildings around me. All of those seem the same as when we arrived, with a bright window still present here and there. So surely, that can't be it. If the power was cut off, it would affect the whole street, wouldn't it? Or even several streets? Almost spilling my drink, I hastily reach for the phone in my pocket. Huh. I blink, then close my eyes shut for a moment, certain that something's wrong with my eyesight. That time couldn't have just gone backwards. A small sense of relief floods me as I quickly open my eyes again. It must have been a trick of the light before. Perhaps there was a glitch with my phone's display. Perhaps there's something wrong with me. Remembering what made me reach for my phone in the first place, I raised my head to look at the building before me once more, only to see it in its previous state. The lights are back on as if they were never gone to begin with. The unease in my stomach stays, though. I know what I saw. I'm pretty sure I couldn't have just imagined it. It's been 5 minutes since Kieran went into the building. Is that enough to ride through a bunch of floors? Would she be mad if I called her so soon? Dwelling on it suddenly feels stupid. Calling. I open up the calls app on my phone, and there's her name at the top of the history. She'd called me just a couple of hours ago to confirm our plans for tonight. Admittedly, her name is also there for the call before that, and the one before, and okay, I chat to her a lot. So one more call now, her, right? I hit the redial button. I should have expected the call wouldn't connect. If she's still inside the elevator, there probably isn't any reception in there, is there? So what options does that leave me with? Going in after her? Waiting for another 5 minutes? I stare at the building before me intently, afraid to avert my eyes anymore. It's like I'm hopeful my gaze, my constant observation, alone will make the light stay. I'm scared of the situation repeating itself. Sometime later I realize I've spent so long just holding my can and fretting about Kieran that my drink has gone from a nice hot drink to, well, undrinkable. Some drinks are not meant to be kinda warm, and this is one of them. At least it kept my hands from freezing, I guess. 10 minutes pass, I feel only more cold and helpless. Why can't Kieran just come out of the building now as if nothing had happened and laugh at me for worrying too much? I call her again for good measure. Surprisingly, the call does go through this time. Oh, that's not creepy at all. Crying? Okay. I don't know why my mouse is not working here. There. I'm not prepared for what I hear. A woman laughing at the other end. There's something about that disturbs me to the very core. It's definitely not Kieran's voice. Or is it? What's that? I didn't even get to press the button in time, so it must have went for me. All of a sudden, realization hits me. Sapporo, the bet, everything. Now this. None of it could possibly be real. All this has to be a prank arranged by my classmates. Whether Kieran's in on it. She wouldn't do this to me, would she? The image of her wickedly smiling, amused face persistently pops up in my mind again. Confusion turns into anger. Before I know it, I'm on my feet, already marching to the building, determination boiling inside of me. There's an obstacle before I can get in, though, as I obviously don't have a key to the entrance door. What kind of excuse would be plausible at this sort of hour? I stab at the button I think Kieran pressed, and then almost immediately regret it. What if I press the wrong button? What if I press the right one and sound stupid when the other person asks who's there? What if, to my surprise, There's a click from the intercom, and then a buzz I'm let in without a single word being spoken. Huh. So Kieran didn't have to sweet talk anyone. I try not to dwell on the unexpected invitation as I shrug it all off on luck. As soon as the doors close behind me, it occurs to me just how dark the inside of the building is. I know it's in the middle of the night, but I'm not sure whether such a complete lack of light is normal. People live here after all. Oh no, I pressed it too quickly. It's unsettling, although it doesn't make me as nervous as it used to. I know that my vision is going to adjust to the darkness in a moment, letting me navigate the place easily. I'm able to see a lot better in the dark compared to when I was still completely human, but it doesn't work instantly. There we go. As I take a few hesitant steps into the building, the lights flicker on with a harsh buzz. Of course, I'm being such an idiot. There are automatic lights in here that come on when people move. Totally ordinary. It's just that I've never been in this building before. It stands to reason that it feels unusually creepy to me, right? Especially if I think about why I'm currently here. All that considered, it feels longer for me to reach the end of the long hallway than it probably should. It's a dangerous time to let your mind wander into places nobody sane would want it wandering to. At least the building inside is noticeably warmer than the outdoors. It makes the whole situation slightly easier to bear. My hands and feet almost started to freeze off in the meantime. The next thing I know, I stand before the elevator door, rooted to the ground, with the sudden sensation of someone watching me. Abruptly, I turn around, more panic exploding inside of me as the automated light picks that exact moment to cut out. My first instinct is to get out my phone, let it illuminate the sun darkness of the corridor, and God knows what else is inhabiting it currently. There's nothing. Nothing that I'm able to see anyway. It's just the empty corridor. A row of closed doors along each side, seemingly the same as when I first entered it. There's nobody there. I don't feel any less on edge when I turn back to the other direction, bearing my back to all of that space again, pressing the elevator button as quickly as I can find it. A distant sound of machinery starting up pierces the unnerving silence, followed by a hum, which indicates that the elevator is in motion. It's clearly on a different floor, so I wait for it to descend. Taking a deep breath, I try to calm myself. It feels like an eternity for the thing to arrive. The doors finally slide apart with a slight scraping sound, and the small compartment finally opens up before me. Completely empty. I'm not sure whether I should be surprised or not. A part of me hoped it wouldn't have to come to this, while another already expected for things to turn out this way. Don't go! At this point, I decide to do the only sensible thing I can think of doing. Get into the elevator, ascend to the highest floor, then make my way down the stairs. Not a terrible idea there. All in the hope of stumbling upon Kieran, possibly hiding from me on one of the floors. If only things turned out that easy. Okay, I guess that was it. Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do with it. NoBreadStudio. I'm not sure if they've done anything else, but yeah, I'm curious to see where they decide to go with regarding this little urban legend. If they're going to kind of stay more on point to where the legend actually talks about. There's plenty of creepypastas about this thing too. Or if they're going to do their own thing. Maybe someone kidnaps Kieran and holds her hostage on one of the floors. I don't know. But I think it's interesting enough. I don't know if the whole Catgirl thing is going to be addressed as to why they're girls are cats. I don't really know. But yeah, I like the look of the game. The actual idea behind the game, the elevator game. I'm a sucker for those kind of urban legend, creepypasta stuff. So I'm curious. I am curious about how this game will finish up. Yeah, if you like it, check it out. Find it on Steam. I don't know. I don't think they said. Yeah, I don't see anything regarding when the full release is. If I see it on the Steam store page, I will put that in the show notes. Not show notes. In the section below. I'm terrible with this stuff. But yeah. Continue watching VGU.tv. We will bring you more demos from the Steam, I think it's called Next Fest. Yeah, keep it tuned in. We'll bring you more. Hope you like it. Like, subscribe, all that jazz that everyone talks about with YouTube. And we will check you out later. Bye.